on, what are data types? First of all, we need to understand what data types are. We need to understand that. So, I'm going to come in JavaScript. We have just like many other programming languages. JavaScript also relies on values. Now, understanding these data types is, everybody's here. Understanding these data types is fundamental to writing effective and error-free code. Now, in this lesson, we explore three booleans. Now, those are the things we'll talk about. But before we come back to this, I need to explain two major things in JavaScript. Two major data types in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have two major data types. We have primitive first is what? Primitive, and the second is what? Non-primitive. Now, it's just like I like using physics. I like video. It's just like fundamental and derived quantity. Remember that? Yeah. So fundamental quantities, you have length, you have mass, you have time. You understand? You have, I think it's 6, 7, right? It's 6 or 7. So those are fundamental and derived quantities. That's the same thing with what? Primitive and non-primitive. You understand? Primitive and non-primitive. Now, your primitive is like the fundamental data types in JavaScript. Then your derived data types from what? The primitive. I need to understand this. Your primitive is what? Your fundamental data type in JavaScript. Then your non-primitive is a data type that was derived from what? Your primitive data types. Do you understand it now? Just like your fundamental and derived. So that's how it is. Now, in primitive, you have 5 types. Some people still argue that it's 6, some people say 7. But you have 5 types. First is you have string. Second is number. Third is boolean. Then fourth, you have undefined. Then the fifth is what? Null. These are the 5 data types that you have. 5 primitive data types that you have. You have string, you have number, you have boolean, you have undefined, and then you have null. There's some people who argue that you have what? Symbol, which is, of course, it's valid, but these are the 5 data types that we'll talk about. So we'll talk about string, we'll talk about number, we'll talk about boolean, we'll talk about undefined, we'll talk about null. These are the 5 types that we'll talk about. So again, string, boolean, undefined, number, and null. So string, number, boolean, undefined, and null. Then non-primitive, you have array, you have objects, you have functions, yeah. And these are the non-primitive data types that we have. Just to reiterate, you have how many data types? 2. Primitive and non-primitive. Under primitive, you have 5, right? You have string, you have number, you have boolean, and then you have what? Undefined and null. Then your non-primitive, you have array, you have objects, and you have what? Functions. Of course, you have other non-primitive. In fact, you can even derive your own data type. You understand? But the only way you can do that is if you understand primitive. Okay, you can't actually derive your own data type, but you can write your own data type, but non-primitive. That was derived from what? Primitive. But first of all, you need to have an understanding of what primitive are. So now we'll start with string. Now, when we talk about string, let me start with string. Or let me start with what started with here. Let's start with numbers. Let's start with number. Now we've done number already, isn't it? So we have 20 here. So you have 20 and you have 10. This is a number. This is a data type. Now, when we talk about number, what are numbers? JavaScript uses the number type to represent both integer and floating point values. Now, what do you mean by floating point values? Do you understand what integer means? Everybody should. Do you understand what integer means? Everybody, integer. I need answers now. Eh? Integer, you understand it? If you don't understand, you can tell me. I will explain. Good. Now, integers are numbers. Whole numbers. Do you understand? So your 1 is an integer, your 2 is an integer, your 3 is an integer, your minus 10 is an integer. As long as they are what? Whole numbers. So they don't have like a dot something or point something. That's an integer. Do you get? So that's your number. Now, your number in JavaScript now combines both integer and floating data type. Now, if you probably tried other programming languages, you see that your you have different data types for both number and numbers that carry a point value. What am I saying? Your 10.1 is different from 10. 10 is a data type of what? Integer or number. But your 10.1 is a data type of what? Float. Or in some cases, they call it, I can't remember the other name in Python. Float, right? So you have float. So anything that has what? A point or a dot is a what? A float. That is not a whole number. So 10.2 is a what? A float. But now in JavaScript, the beauty of JavaScript is that you don't necessarily have to specify the data type for different what's the name? As long as a number, you have a what? Integer or number. You understand? So 10 is a number. In JavaScript, 10 is a number, 10.1 is a number, minus 9.9 is a what? Is a number. You understand? So everything is all what? Under the number integer. You understand? Or number data type. Everybody understands it. So that's basically what numbers are. And how do you, so integers, you have what? Decimal in base 10. You have binary, of course, who basically be dealing with decimal most of the time. We're dealing with decimal. So if you want to learn binary, you can go on and learn binary because binary is right now not for web development. So we can go into what? Into decimal. So as you can see, this is your binary number. I'm not learning. One. So okay. Actually, okay. So I have the number. So let's say same way we're defining it. So we can say const num1 const num1 equals to what? Let's give it 50. Then const num2 equals to what? 100, right? Console.log num1 plus num2. What's the resource? Exactly. So if you come here, you're gonna have what? 150. Now this is your number. Up is clear to everybody. Is it clear? So now this is your number. You have num1 of 50, num2 of 100. And then you have console.log num1 plus num2, giving us what? 1. Is it clear to everybody? Up is clear. Now that's everything about your number. So I can also say 50.5. 0.5. It's going to give me what? 150.5. So if I give what? 100 plus 0.3, 150.8. Do you see it now? Now, in other languages like Python, you have to like simplify that. Okay, you probably put const, or instead of this const, you probably use float right here. You understand? To specify that, okay, this particular variable is what? A float. Then if it's an integer, you put int to specify that, okay, this particular data is a what? Is an integer or a number. You understand? Now that is how it is done. But in JavaScript, the feature of JavaScript is that all of those things were eradicated. You don't necessarily have to write those things. Just write the const num1, and then you can add the number and the floating data type together. You understand it now? So that is how it works. Is it clear to everybody? Any questions so far? Before we move on to the next one. Any question? We're all writing codes. We're all trying this. Last one. Which one? This one? Yeah, I said const num1 equals what? 50.5. Const num2 equals what? 100. Just to specify, okay, this is what number means. You understand? So I added num1 plus num2. 50.5 plus 100.3. What will it give you? 150.8. You understand? So that's basically what we just did. So this is your number data type. I hope it's clear to everybody. Moving on to the next one, your string. What is your string? Now, you can still go ahead and check out all of these things. It's very, very important. And before then, I'm also going to talk about some number methods, right? Yeah, good. Let me even talk about number methods. Now, what are attributes? What are attributes in HTML? Yeah, in HTML. Just give me a definition. Mr. Samuel, give me a definition, please. Additional information. Good. Now, I said something back then. I said, one thing you need to understand is the basics. See, one thing about programming is consistent. Yes, you might have a slight change in syntax, but it's consistent. Yeah, what you learn in JavaScript is probably the same thing you will learn in Python, but a different syntax. Do you understand? So all those high-level languages that I are seeing, right? That is why I told you it was easier for me to pick up that stuff that I said I picked up in 6 days. A lot of you were not here when I said. Pick up that I said I picked up in 6 days and learned it. Why? Because what I learned in JavaScript and React, I could have easily just pick something up and learn it in a few times. Now, that's exactly what I'm saying here. The reason why I told you to explain what attributes are is because I want to explain what methods are. Now, attributes provide additional information, additional tasks to a particular tag. Number methods will also provide what? Additional information and additional tasks to certain what? Numbers or data type or number data type. Every data type has its own method. I'm explaining. Every data type has its own method. And like I said, methods, just like your attribute, will provide additional information and additional tasks to the number or to the data type, depending on the data type we are talking about. String has its own method. Number has its own method, which we'll be going into now. Right? They all have their own method, especially string and numbers. Those two data types, they have their method. Methods, again, will provide additional information or task to a particular data type. Now, coming here right now, we'll talk about some of these methods. The first method is what? So, what am I saying? So, basically what I say is that something that we can. Let me put us in this. What should I? Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Okay. I'm looking at talking about simpler methods, but let's just talk about this just so you can understand it. So the first one is what? To fixed digits. Now, what is this fixed digits talking about? So first of all, it formats a number using fixed point notation. Now, what am I talking about? So first of all, you need to understand that the output is going to what? Output a string. This is why I wanted to explain strings first, but I'm going to explain it later. Now, what am I saying? Let's say you have, in num2, you have 100 points, what? 335555. Do you understand? Now, if I come here and I say console.log, let me remove this. Console.log, right? And I'm saying num2 dot what? To fixed. What am I saying? And I put it at 3. Now, what this 3 means is that it's going to count 3 places after the decimal point. So 3 places after this decimal point is what? 1, 2, 3. So what's going to print out? 100.355. So if you check it out now, and it's not going to be what? String. You understand? Is it? And 5 to 6 rather. Yes. And why? Because it rounded everything up to what? 356 exactly. So it's going to count how many places. 3 decimal places and approximate it for you. Do you understand it now? That's exactly what to fix is going to do. So first of all, approximate and what? Round it up towards 3 decimal places or whatever decimal place you specify. You see? Yeah. If this is, let's say this one is now 4. You understand? 355. You understand? That's how it is. Do you get it now? That's what to fix to do. Again, I just want you to understand what methods are. You don't necessarily have to cram this because there are sometimes that you should just come naturally to while you are researching. Okay, I need to use this. Okay, I understand this before. Let me use it. You understand? Understand what it does, first of all. Do you get it now? Now, that is what to fix is going to do for you. That's the first one. Now, the next one is what? To precision. Now, to precision, basically what? Format a number to a specified what? Precision. So, this is what you are using. What does it mean? Yeah. Decimal place. Console log what? Oh, the result. Let's try it. So, console log num2. Can you see the value of num2 now? This is the value of num2. Now, what is going to happen is it is going to take this value of num2, this value, and not this value. Because this value is not actually, you are not changing anything. If you wanted to pick this value, now let me show you what I'm trying to say. Can you see now? See what it picked? It picked this and not this. If you wanted to pick this, then you need to assign this to a what? To a variable. Now, what am I saying? This is a const, right? If you assign this to a variable, is it going to work? Let's check it out. So I can just say num2 dot what? To fixed. Isn't it? Then we can say 3. Then we can give it to what? So let's say oh no, let's change it. Let's change something else. So let's say new num equals to what? And let's just say let new num. You understand? Now I can now come here and I can say num2 instead of num2, and I say new num. Sorry. And I say new number, right? Plus what? Num1. Now it is now going to take this. It's not going to what? Take this instead. Just what I just did. I'm going to explain it again. So you asked that what if you console this? Once we log this to the console, right? What's going to give you? I said it is not going to what? Think about this at all. Why? This is not assigned to anything. It's just what being printed out to the console. Now, if you want to add this to num1 instead, what you have to do is that you have to what? Also give this particular num2.fixed assign it to another variable, and what add that new variable to what? To num1. So instead of doing this, all I have to do is come here and do let new num, right, equals to what? Num2 dot what? To fixed. Then 3. Now I can come down here and I can say console.log new num, right, plus what? Num1. Do you understand? So now what is that going to add with this number will that be what? New num rather than what? Num2. Why is not having 2 points? Eh? Yes, exactly. That's why that's what I'm saying. This particular to fix is now converting into a string. It's no longer a number. So it's now need to what? Join both num1 and num2 together. So now I cannot go further here. I need to explain strings so that you understand what I'm saying. What's the question? Yeah. You can assign anything. I can still come here and assign something to the value of num2. Understand what you're trying to say? What you're trying to say is that for constant, right now, this new num now, I'm assigning new num to num2, Abby. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Good. Yeah. You have an error, yes. Good. So now this is everything about number. Now I'm going to pause here on the methods, right? I'm just going to talk about this one method. And there's a reason for that. I don't push people too much because I know that if I push you, you have issues, especially at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is that I've explained one method and I hope everybody understands this method. Is this to fix clear? Two people. I don't know if it's clear. Is it clear to you? Is it clear? Okay. So some people don't understand to fix. Now, we're going to leave this first and then we're going to come back to it later in number methods. We're going to focus on what? String for now. So let's go on to string. Now, what do we mean by string? First of all, you need to understand what strings are. Strings are very, very important because they're the core foundation of your JavaScript data type. So, what are strings? Strings are used to what? Represent textual data. And in JavaScript, strings are what? Immutable, meaning that their values cannot be changed after they are created. Any operation that appears to modify a string actually creates a new string. Let's leave that. So, one thing that you need to understand about strings is there are 3 things. Strings are either enclosed in what? Single quotes, double quotes, or what? Backticks. Triple quotes is not JavaScript. Yeah. Strings are either enclosed in 3 things. The first is what? Single quote. Second is what? Double quote. And the third one is what? Backticks. Now, I'm going to explain it again for you. Strings are what? Textual data. Meaning that if you want to probably like, oh, tell people your name using JavaScript, use what? Strings. Because that's like a data. A textual data. Oh, my name is Paul. That's a string. A textual data that people need to understand. And how do you write your string? You put whatever data you want to write in 3 things. The first is what? Single quote. Second is what? Double quote. And the last one is what? Backticks. You understand? Those are the 3 things. First is what? Single quote. Second is double quote. Backtick. So you can have my what? 4 inside of it. In this case, you can also have what? 4. And here you can also have what? 4. Now, all of these codes, they do similar work, but they have different applications, especially the backticks. Now we'll get to backticks soon. Again, all of these strings, all of this what's the name? Format or syntax, they have their own what functionalities. They are actually very similar, but they have slightly different functionalities. Now, the first one, which is your what? I think we've done it before, right? We did the strings. First name equals what? Paul. If you notice, we have to enclose it in what? In a code. That's a string. Now, what am I saying? Let me give you an example of what I'm saying. So if I come here, I can say, let first name equals to what? Paul. Now, this is a string. Now, this is a string, right? This is a string. Do you get? Now, I can also say, let last name equals to what? Levite. Good. So, Levite. Do you understand? Now, automatically, it is changing to what? Single quote, which I don't want. Now, the last one is what? Backtick. I also say, let full name equals to what? For Levite. Oh, sorry. For now, this is the three ways to create strings. Now, what exactly is the string here? The string is not this variable name. The string is what? This. Anything in quotes is a what? String. I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to say this again. Anything in quotes is a what? String. Meaning, if I put this particular number right here now in string, what is 10? Eh? Is that a string or a number? Why is it a string? Exactly. It's now a text and not a string. So anything that is and not a number, rather, is that a text? That's a string and not a number. Thank you. So anything in quotes, either single quote, double quotes, or backticks is a what? String. Anything at all. Anything. Do you get it now? That is basically what the strings are. For the last time, anything in quotes, single, double, backticks is a what? String. Now, that's basically what your strings are. Now, moving on, you have what? Your okay, that's changed. Now, if you notice, immediately I save it up, it is changing to what? Double quote. Immediately I save this up, my single quote changed to what? Double quote. Can you see it? Change double quote. Check here. So if I save this up now, change what? Double quote. That's prettier formatter. Prettier is just formatting it automatically for me. But what does this mean? It means that it also means something, that it is not advisable to write your quotes or your strings with single quotes. You use either double quotes or what? Backticks. In fact, you use mostly double quotes. Now, backticks is for special cases, which we'll get to. You use your what? Double quote and not single. Now, why are we using double quote? Imagine that you want to write something like, that's a laptop. Let's say that laptop is Paul's laptop, right? I hope everybody's getting this example. Imagine you want to write that laptop is Paul's example. Now, you now use single quote. Paul. Where are you going to put the apostrophe? You understand how confusing it's going to be? So for you to even put the you now need to escape it. Instead of escape it, then put another apostrophe then. Okay, so is it? Okay, yeah. First of all, escape it. This is wrong. Then put your what? Your S. Oh, this is not this, rather. Put this apostrophe, this, then S. one is it now? OS. Is it? This is why I don't use it. Okay, let's leave this. Sorry? You will get, I'm coming. I'm coming. The one beside one. The one beside one. That's like the first this thing here. Now, okay, let us leave this. That's escaping. I wanted to like show us escape. I don't use escaping at all. I've never used escaping before. But that's how escaping is. So you have to escape the what's name. But there is another alternative. And the alternative is what? Use double quote. So if you use double quotes, it is now easier to what? Nest single quote inside of it to get your word, your apostrophe or your quote. Do you understand it now? Now, this thing that I wanted to do now was the escaping. Just a moment. This escaping that I wanted to do just now. You can escape it in JavaScript. If you are using other languages like Python or C++, you cannot escape it. You always have to have what? Use the escape. But in JavaScript, there is now a new syntax provided that you can easily use what? I think it's /n. I think it's n, new, or something like that. I've forgotten. So that's how it is. So if you want to use what? It's n, right? It's n, good. If you want to use an apostrophe inside of your string, what do you have to use double quotes instead, right? Let us check it out and let's see if that n works. So /n, okay, backward slash rather, n. No, 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 no. Let me check this. All right, so it's working now. It's working now. So this is it. So you have what? 4. You escape it with what? The backward. Then you have apostrophe. Then what? S. Now, as you can see, it's showing what? Pause. But notice what happens whenever I say Control S. What changed? It changed instantly to what? Double quotes. Saying that what? It's just trying to give you best practices so that you don't have to what? Stress yourself. That's it. So you use what? Double quotes whenever you want to use an apostrophe inside of the code. And in fact, always use your double quotes for your strings. It's very, very important. Do not write your strings with single quotes. How is this clear to everybody? Is it clear? You asking a question. Okay. So that exactly is how you write your string. Any other question from anybody? I'm not hearing. No, I just explained it now. I said when you use single quote, it probably doesn't afford you the flexibility that you need. And I explained with what's name with this pause. So if you're using single quotes here, you cannot do this. It's going to give an error. Do you understand? But if you use double quotes here, it affords you that flexibility or that freedom to use what apostrophe in your string. You understand? Now that is how string works. Now I'm going to stop recording here and give us time to write this code before we move on.